We're gonna start Idiot of the Week, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah,
Let me
we
throw
might go a
that up.
little over tonight, but hey,
That's fine.
it's a podcast. It's not like we got the network on our ass saying you got to finish now. You got to finish now. So let's just talk about this moron. The article from The Root is Jesus was white. Did he have white privilege? Evangelical author roasted for spreading gospel of Mayo Messiah. Okay, I'm a white guy and I love that. I love Mayo. You compare me to Mayo,
I love
especially
Mayo.
after too much lactose. You can compare me to Mayo. So I know that's gross.
Hold on. Just to clarify, mayo is made out of huevos and some white stuff. So
That's how I get my extra huevos. Awesome. Yeah. And why does it stay good for so long for something that shouldn't? It's just
that's
odd.
what my ex-boyfriend said.
Okay, so yeah,
Coming in hot.
So I'm going to read a little bit of this. Because we got the best part about this article actually is the comebacks to what this guy said. So Eric Matexas is a Trump-loving Christian radio host who also authored the Donald the Caveman series, a collection of MAGA-themed children's books that includes Donald Drains the Swamp, Donald and the Fake News, and Donald Builds the Wall. I read those titles wrong. Donald Drains the Swamp, Donald and the Fake News, and Donald Builds the Wall. Okay, so that's how you should really say those titles. Apparently, the only thing Metaxas hates more than Mexicans, Black Lives Matter, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is equality. The villain of one of his books is an angry little girl who looks a little bit like AOC. Wow. Ooh. Anyway, now he stirred the controversy. Let's just get back to it. Metaxas has subsequently attempted to place claim about Jesus' ethnicity into context. But basically he said, Jesus was white. Did he have white privilege? Okay. There's also a picture of Jesus riding dinosaurs. These are artistic representations, if you didn't know and you're tuning into our show. Jesus was Middle Eastern. It's very important to remember that.
Oh yeah, the features. You have to understand the features.
Now, there are admittedly no physical descriptions of Jesus in the Gospels, and that's interesting because we all assume he had a beard, but then again, you're not supposed to cut the beard, you're not supposed to cut the hair. So it's interesting. You know, that didn't take on to the next books, but because then everyone would look metal. But yeah, what the hell's this guy thinking? Like, you don't have to think that hard to know Jesus was not a white guy.
But overwhelmingly,
sorry, you cut out for a minute there, Dana.
Oh, sorry. Wait, am I back?
You're back.
Okay. Overwhelmingly, though, like people have been, especially a certain generation, have been looking at pictures of Kenny Loggins' twin brother, because that's to me what all those pictures have ever looked like. Kenny Loggins. Anybody know who the singer Kenny Loggins is? Let me just first ask that.
Yes,
that's the guy with the facelift, the one that had all that facelift done, and he looked like a completely different person.
No, I don't think so. No, that's Kevin Bacon. Kenny Loggins is a music artist. You're talking about Kevin Bacon on Footloose. But Kenny Loggins did the song. So are you referring to the guy who did the song or the guy who started?
The guy who did the song. No,
my bad. Okay, I didn't. He doesn't look that different to me. I don't know. So anyway, that's to me like anytime I've seen those pictures, because like I grew up like in the 70s where you would see these like people would have like street art and like like all these and they would all be the same whatever, and like if you are like anybody on here from the South or spent time in like a Black grandmother's house, they all have these painted plates, and one plate is going to have Martin Luther King, one plate is going to have Jesus, and one plate is going to have John Kennedy, and like they're all there are all these so there's always been I think it's tragic that people assume Jesus was white, because then that just says that you haven't studied a map, because a map would tell you that there'd be no way. But we are, with all due respect to America, not this guy, this is not necessarily a country that's big on what geography even means or what the implications. Do you know what I'm saying? Like no one, like no one know, like you talk to the average person. I had a student, I will say nothing except when I tried to I had to explain to my student that China nor Africa were in the States, and I had to explain to my student, I had to, like I brought a globe because I realized, and this is just me as the classroom teacher, I brought my own child's globe to school because I realized that they don't teach what's on a globe. They don't teach what's on a world map. And other than maybe in the world history section, that this war was fought in this place, Istanbul, which isn't that name anymore. There is no present context for understanding who was in any of these places or what those people look like. So I am in no way justifying, but I have to say I honestly get it. It's just the representation that's been out there. And if you don't scratch beneath the surface, then you're going to argue this paper thin foolishness that, bless his Southern MAGA heart, that he's, spewing. Or I don't know if he's Southern, but
it's kind of funny MAGA. Because they wear red hats, but it's a black heart.
Right, but it's a black heart.
Like really, really meant in no bad way. But Stacy, well, I do have a question for you, Stacy, but go ahead and say it.
Oh no, I don't know. It's so offensive. No, I'm all back.
Okay, it's all bad shit. Okay, Stacy, I got a question for you. Being the youngest in our group of 4,
mm-hmm.
What I am going to ask you: were they still teaching Eurocentric history in high school when you went? Did they refer to the Dark Ages as when no history was being written, instead of mentioning that China was doing great and that the Middle East was doing great then?
I went to I went to 4 high schools and I graduated at 16. Let me remember.
Oh. Damn.
Oh, one for every year.
No, I graduated at 16. I went to 4 high schools.
Because that's something I remember when thinking about it.
You know what? If I remember correctly, like I remember the pregnant teen moms. No.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't count though, because I ended up finishing early and it was like the skipped version, so I'm the worst person to ask.
Okay, because I mean, they didn't tell us anything about what China's history was. They didn't tell us anything about the Middle Eastern history. They didn't tell us about India. They especially skipped when Britain took over or did successfully take over India. They didn't talk about any of that stuff, and they always refer to the Dark Ages. No one was writing history. No, yeah, some people were. You weren't reading it.
Middle school. They actually taught me that in middle school. Well, the Dark Ages we were taught in middle school. We were taught about the whole China thing. That I remember. I actually really enjoy history. So middle school, yes, but only 2 out of the 4 that you mentioned.
I was in college taking extra courses after I to even know anything about Africa, like to know everything that I would eventually learn, because there was nothing through middle school or high school that pointed to Africa even being the cradle of civilization, period, or that, and when they taught you, when any conversation was ever had about Egypt or the pyramids, it was never that this is a country on this very large continent that we don't talk about, that is barely written about in any of these books, other than, there is the point where they talk about, what happened in Haiti, or they every now and then, but the Haiti is a whole other country. So it's just interesting, like when you speak to, again, to Stacy being the youngest, were you taught anything that would represent that there was forward thinking or revelation or realization about the parts that we skipped, like all the countries and continents, whole continents? Like, we were taught what the continents were, but we weren't taught like who was on them and how awesome, all the people were on any of these great places were.
I will give you
this. I do love this retort.
I'm going to give you
retort.
What is it? Oh.
Yeah, gonna tell Eric this is Jesus. Mr. Chris Hemsworth.
Hey,
right.
By the way, I annoyed my wife during the whole movie. Every time he got hit by something, I look at her and I go, he's gonna be so Thor.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, I'm going to mention this just because it was the weirdest thing, and I don't know if anybody had the similar situation. But definitely did not anything about Africa. I don't remember at all.
Because they didn't
However,
teach you. I promise you, they didn't teach you.
I don't recall anything like that. However, I did have a teacher that used Disney movies as our history lessons. So Mulan went into China, and the Great Wall of China, that's what he used. Hercules were all Greek mythology. Can't remember other movies, but that was basically, it was Disney movie here. This is what's wrong with the entire Disney movie, which I loved. There should be more classes like that. Okay.
He just ruins the Hunchback of Notre Dame. No, he was supposed to die at the end, and so was she. By the way, assholes are the reason why Quasimodo could never forget when it was Wednesday. So, sorry, it's a dad joke. I know. Getting the disapproval, and somehow that makes me laugh. But yeah, I mean, it's just funny. And if you get to go look through this, there are just some great, I guess it would surprise you. This is not, in fact, a color photograph of Jesus. There are just some comebacks to him. There are no white people in the Bible. Take all the time you need with that. Yes.
That's a good one. That's the best one. That's for me, bar none. Because I've, and you said it earlier, Dan. You said there are no literal descriptions because people will, they say his hair was of lamb's wool, but again, none of that is a literal description. Those are, metaphysical. Now, there's some great comments that we don't want to overlook over here. Says, when Hollywood makes the White Prince of Persia, what do you expect? And here's the thing: I love Jake Gyllenhaal, but we all know that he's. There's no way.
He's not Persian.
He's not Persian. Ronnie Schooner, he says, I learned all about Africa on my own because I was curious about human evolution. That was when the internet was brand new and actually full of great knowledge. And let's see, literally, if kids listen to Africa by Toto, they will learn more about Africa than in schools. I agree. That's a good one. Thank you, Ben. That's a good one.
I hear it rains down there, by the way.
Sometimes
but I think it take a while.
But that was the other thing too. That's always interesting. That's and even as I say the continent, like teaching kids that you got to understand that it's a continent. It's not a country or this one place. That it's several countries. What 54 to be exact? 50. Yeah, 54. Is that many? Yes, that many because they were like 52, but then when Sudan split, it became 54. So it's 54 countries on a continent. The size of it, you could fit the landmass of the United States can fit 4 times in the continent. Wow. Like it's, and these are just things that it's, when we talk about media representation and no context, people will fill in what you don't tell them. And so if you don't tell them anything, they will assume it doesn't exist, or they will create any kind of narrative. And that's me include, any of us included. So it's just really, I think these comments are great.
Yes. Thank you guys.
I mean, it's like, I mean, you can't really take seriously what TV and film is out there because remember, they made these really religious tomato and cucumbers, VeggieTales. Right. Am I supposed to take your version of it really seriously? Like, to you, Jesus was a freaking cucumber. I don't know. I don't remember.
Right.
I think my aunts mostly watched it for the cucumber.
Right.
So.
Oh, hey-oh.
Get out.
Leave it in long enough, it's fickle.
I'm eating salad later, man. Come on.
Now he's going to skip the cucumbers.
No, they're already in there, damn it.
Oh, you chopped it early.
I'll just eat it with my eyes closed. It's okay.
Yeah, that way you don't feel the beard.
Get away.
Dana's just like, I'm disapproving of this shit right now.
Some of it's going like that for me, Dan. Some of it's just like, that went past. Like,
you know what I call those though, and I love them from some of my favorite comedians. I call them joke grenades. You throw them, and a minute later, the person's going, "Oh, wait a minute." So I love those.